Hey everybody, it's Derek Christensen from Legion Law PLLC. I am coming to you today with the answer to your question, how do I transfer my house into a revocable living trust? That being said, before we dive into the utterly interesting topic of transferring property into trusts, I wanted to remind you how to reach out to me. I can respond to email, derek@legionlawpllc.com, or you can find me on my website, www.legionlawpllc.com. Go to the Contact Us page. We got a nifty system in place to be able to fix your problems there. So, that being said, let's dive into the topic. So, here's the problem. You create your trust, and then you think, I signed it. It's all good to go. Don't need to worry about it. My family's protected. And that's just not true. I'm sorry to tell you, but that trust, at least at that moment, after you sign it, is worth about the much paper that's on. You know, it's really not anything until you transfer things into the trust. So I've talked about this in other videos, but a trust, if you'd like to have a refresher, is creating a legal entity in which you can transfer things into, and once it's inside that trust avoids probate, and you can set the rules of the trust. You can say, you know, my child only gets this at this time, my other child gets this at that time. And you can do whatever you want with your trust. So that's the wonderful part about a trust, is that it's flexible. You can create it however you want, and all is well if you do it correctly. But the process of doing it correctly requires you to do some paperwork, and that's called funding the trust. So again, transferring your assets into the trust is probably the most important thing ever. Some attorneys just draft the trust and let you take care of it, but I personally think that you should be telling people and teaching them and helping them and doing all the things necessary to get those assets into the trust. So that's the need of transferring the trust, and one of the things you most likely will want to transfer into your trust is the house that you own, or at least where you reside. You can also, well, you can transfer anything, literally anything, into your trust, but the house is probably one of the biggest things. So that being said, how do you do that? Well, the process is pretty straightforward. You draft a deed, and then in the deed there are specific requirements. In Texas, you need to list the grantor, or in other words, the person who's giving the property away. You must list the physical description of the property, which is very specific lingo that you must include in there. And then you must also you must deliver the trust and sign the trust. So, or the deed, I apologize. Deliver the deed and sign the deed. So those are the basic requirements, but of course there are other, smaller things that you need to take in consideration. But it sounds pretty simple, but you'd be amazed at how frequently people do it wrong, because if you mess up anything, then it can get undone, and it's like you never transferred anything in the first place. So, to the deed, more specifically, must state, let's say Joe Schmo, he's transferring the property. You got Joe Schmo. He owns his own individual property. He's a good guy, does great work, but he created his trust, and now he wants to put his property in the Joe Schmo trust. So it would say Joe Schmo is granting the property to the grantee, which is the Joe Schmo, or to Joe Schmo, the trustee of the Joe Schmo trust, dated on whatever date it was signed. And you must state those three specific aspects correctly: the name of the trustee, the name of the trust, and the date the trust was signed, in order for it to correctly state who is receiving the property. If you mess that up, people can contest it later, and then again, it's like you never transferred anything in the first place, and you're going through all these song and dances just to find out you're playing the wrong tune the whole time. So that's the extreme importance of making sure that you do the correct transfer of the deed to get your personal property into your trust. That being said, attorneys do this quite frequently, and the good ones will do it correctly, and I would argue I'm up that category. So if you'd like, feel free to reach out to me to be able to figure out how to transfer your personal property into your trust the correct manner. I charge a one-time flat fee for all my products, and then the trust and the deeds and all the transfer documents, they're included in that one-time flat fee, so you don't need to worry about paying extra. I take care of the filing. I literally just need you to sign. That's pretty much it. So it's a very smooth process, at least at my firm, and it's a great way to make sure that your trust is funded and your assets and your family's protected after you pass away. So with that being said, feel free to reach out to me. Again, my email is Derek, D-E-R-E-K, at legionlawpllc.com, and you can find me on my website on the Contact Us page, www.legionlawpllc.com. So thank you so much, guys. We'll catch you on the next one, and hopefully the topic will be even more interesting the next time. So see ya.